Introducing Meta Ray-Ban Display, the world's most advanced AI glasses. With a full color display built into the lens of the glasses, it's there when you need it and gone when you don't. Send and receive messages, translate or caption live conversations, collaborate with Meta AI, and more. Be one of the first to try Meta Ray-Ban Display. Visit meta.com/Meta Ray-Ban Display to book a demo and find your pair.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is the Unofficial 40 right here on Soonerscoop.com, where we have the main crew with us today as we get ready for, well, I'm not getting ready. George and Eddie are getting ready for their trip to Tennessee to go see Oklahoma take on the Volunteers. I think we all know how Eddie feels about that on the postgame podcast. I don't know if you've changed your mind at all, Eddie, but no-win situation still?
Never said that. I'm very excited to go to Knoxville this weekend.
Well, good. I mean, I liked our last trip to Knoxville. Okay, so
it was a.
Are you talking to me? Yeah, it was awesome. It was one of. I've said like 30 times this week. It was my favorite trip. It's one of my favorite trips we've ever taken.
I made you drive all night, and then I remember. So when we went to Knoxville back in 2015, so our flight was delayed, and we were going to miss our connection. So we're just like, F it, let's just drive, and so. We took off. What time would it have been? It was like 4 or 5 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it was later in the afternoon on a Friday.
So we drove, and I drove as long as I could, and I was like, I need some sleep. And then, so I wake up, like I'm in the car, and I'm sleeping through the night, and I wake up in the morning, and Eddie's driving.
Hauling ass through the Smoky Mountains.
Hauling ass through and it was rainy.
It was awesome.
And I was like, what the hell are you
Sun
doing?
was coming
I thought
up
we
over
were
the
going to
Smokies.
die.
It was great.
I'm always shocked in that story that Carrie allowed someone else to drive. Like that just
That's how tired I
We
was.
had to get there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
probably when the age thing started, because there were so many nights when Eddie was the one. I was especially the Fiesta Bowl to San Antonio trips.
Oh,
those were some trips. I always enjoyed those though.
I never drove out to Arizona.
I was always driving, and I
never. I don't think I ever
you would
drove
fly
in a car.
out there
yeah.
so you could stay with your family for Christmas.
Well, that
and then we would drive over to San Antonio.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So anyway, I'm looking forward to you guys having your trip. I think you'll have a lot of fun.
It's going to be sick.
What do they call the Vol Navy? Is that what the boats are and everything?
Yeah.
I think you've probably seen Pat McAfee dive into that water off of one of their yachts or boats or mini yachts or whatever you call those things.
Yeah, I think he did that a couple years ago. It should be fun, and I think that Georgia and I have talked about it on the some of the shows this week on YouTube. It seems like this is a big game for both teams, and obviously Tennessee with the dark out or whatever they're calling it. That's going to offer a pretty unique setting, I think, on Saturday night. It seems like a game that Vols fans are really juiced about. And certainly, I mean, they could win out 10-2. You're probably playing a home game in the playoffs.
I'm very interested to hear what the vibe is in Knoxville, because they have 2 losses just like Oklahoma. They didn't play well in those 2 losses. I mean, kind of just got their shit kicked in at Alabama.
They're coming off of the
Georgia game was kind of a heartbreaker
defensively against Kentucky.
Yeah, they've not played great. And meanwhile, here in Norman, everybody wants everybody fired. So I just am interested. What is the feeling? Because it feels like the loser of this game is going to be really pissed off.
I've seen some. It's kind of weird how the Twitter algorithm just starts filtering a bunch of Tennessee stuff. Like every week, it's been a different fan base, but I think that there's some Tennessee fans that are ready to be done with Josh Heupel if they don't win this game. So it should offer a kind of a fun and hostile atmosphere on Saturday night.
Interesting.
7:30 is a late-ass kickoff, too.
I mean, probably the most interesting coaches matchup in college football this weekend. You've got Seth Luttrell, offensive analyst. And, of course, that made Brent smile in his press conference yesterday. Somebody bringing up Seth Luttrell.
Yeah, it made him smile, and then it made the entire thing get shut down. I didn't think it was a bad question. It just, I thought the entire tone changed in the press conference on Tuesday when he was asked after that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was asked just fine. I mean, they asked him what he thinks the dynamic will be like. But, I mean, obviously, offensive analysts and head coaches don't usually mix a lot for different teams.
I think it would have... It was a good question. I honestly didn't even think about it myself. I would have followed up and just been like, I don't even know how I would have said it, and Brent wouldn't have answered. But the question that you'd want to know is like, how sour are those grapes?
Needless to say, I do
the
not
way he
think
answered
the Venables family and the Luttrell family do not exchange
Christmas
cards. It wouldn't seem.
I mean, I thought he pretty much told us how sour the grapes were.
I think so too.
By saying we haven't talked to each other.
Not good, but also fair.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm not like, I know Brent's gone through a lot with the Kiffin stuff, and he said stuff he probably shouldn't have said, but he has nothing to be, I don't know, embarrassed or hide from. Seth Luttrell deserved to be fired. He was terrible as an offensive coordinator.
Yes.
In 7 games, probably 1 game too long with that offensive game plan they came out with against Texas.
It was a disaster from the start. I mean, it never really even was able to take off.
It scored 16 points against Houston.
But they're finding it. They're going to get... It can't get worse. They're going to turn it around.
I'll never forget earlier this year before the season started, going back, and I listened to some of the the post-game pods from a year ago. And
people were doing that.
The Houston game, man. The Houston post-game pod was pretty funny because we were like, what the F was that? It was so bad. It was all there to tell us, too.
There was a thread on the corner, like, most embarrassing wins. And it got like 10 deep, and I was like, how did Houston last year not get involved in this conversation? Because there was some others that were definitely bad. But that, I mean, guys, OU was lucky to get out of there. Like, yeah. I mean, that's not like, the score was closer than it looked. No. They were hanging on at the end.
Same with Tulane. It took was it Robert Spears-Jennings had an interception late in that game, and it set up like a Jackson Arnold touchdown run to seal it. But it was a 1-score game. It was because Tulane had the ball.
It was because of the pick six.
Yeah.
Just looking back to the Tennessee game last year, I kind of forgot that Tennessee had a safety in the game. How many times has Oklahoma over a decade period? How many safeties have they given up? That's crazy. But yes, it'll be good to see to Seth.
And Landry Jones. I didn't even know he was on staff there until that picture came out of him up in the booth.
It really will be good to see Joey Hosley. He's somebody that I kind of loosely hung out with in college.
You know, Landry was like working construction for free because he wanted to basically run a construction company. And so it's like he just got a phone call one day, I guess, and it's like, you want to be an offensive analyst?
I want to say when he first retired from the NFL, he was doing some like quarterback training or something.
Yes,
down
he
in
was
Texas,
down in the Dallas area.
But he only did that for like a year or two.
And it was with somebody, wasn't it, Josh? Another pretty high. It seemed like there was 2 or 3 guys that were running that were all former college or NFL guys.
The workout wasn't McElroy at one point, was it? Like him being for some reason that rings a bell. I don't think it's right though. Him being a Dallas area guy, it made me think.
Might have been McElroy, like the former Texas A&M quarterback.
No, Greg McElroy.
No. Alabama.
Yeah, I don't think that was him. No.
Mark it.
I don't think he was in there. I don't think he was in the area anymore. No, I don't know. But yeah, he was doing that. It was short lived. Like, feels like since Landry left the NFL, it's just kind of floated from one thing to another. It hasn't really, not like in a bad way. It just doesn't seem like, I kind of hear him doing this thing or that thing, and then he starts on something else. But maybe, working with hype will be ideal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, their offense has been great. I mean, and Aguilar is a big part of that. I mean, they're so much better than they were a year ago right now under Nico. So, I mean, he was right to move on, and
they got some studs at receiver.
They do, yeah.
They got some dudes.
I All right, want to get back into that and everything else that's going on. But Josh, I know we're getting a late start today, and we want to make sure we hit some recruiting stuff before you have to take off. And Eddie and I want to tell you about Enjoy Vision as well.
Absolutely. The football season is upon us, Sooner Nation. That means it's a perfect time to dial in your vision before you miss any of the Sooner magic. All you got to do, schedule a free consultation today. Go to enjoyvision.com. That is the letter NJOY vision.com. And they'll take care of you. You get perfect vision, just like me. The SEC schedule isn't easy, but thankfully LASIK at Enjoy Vision is. Football season is why you LASIK. Enjoy Vision is where you LASIK.
Also want to tell you, I know Will was up this weekend watching the game.
Going to Knoxville.
Did you run into him?
He's going to Knoxville,
huh? He just wants to see a win like everybody else, I think. Anyway, I want to tell you about CodyDrugRx.com. They're specializing now in the peptides that are the future of medicine, and Cody Drug compounds them every day in their state-of-the-art sterile lab. And they've got them for all kinds of stuff. If you want them for weight loss, you want them for energy, you want them for focus. We never had the turkey neck. I asked him if he heard the turkey neck stuff discussion last week. Popular names like Sermorelin, which triggers natural growth hormone release for anti-aging, fat loss, improved sleep, muscle growth, and recovery. The peptides are everything right now. Now, maybe we need to get John Mateer some peptides. Maybe that's what's going on because he's still not playing real well. But Cody Drug loves teaming up with Oklahoma providers and med spas to get you high-quality custom peptide therapies safely and fast. Visit CodyDrugRx.com to get started, and also go check him out on Cody Drug RX on Instagram, where you'll see Will's smiling face as he tells you all about how to feel better each and every day, and maybe what you should try, what you should be doing for better sleep, all that stuff. CodyDrugRx.com. Okay, so Josh, obviously getting the Jahsiear Rogers commitment happened awfully quick. We did have the recruiting report earlier this week, but other visits scheduled, and he comes into Oklahoma, and I'll say this. Guys, the crowds this year have just been amazing. I mean, and the crowd in that game against Ole Miss, like, if I'm a recruit coming in, I'm like, I don't know that you get a better game day environment than what you get at Oklahoma right now. So, obviously, Josh, he was impressed by what he saw, even in a loss.
Absolutely. And that's the thing and you're spot on, Kerry, because when I'm talking to these guys, all of them are like, man, it was incredible. The crowd, the fans, like just the whole atmosphere. Like, atmosphere comes up a ton. When OU was playing Iowa State or Kansas, you didn't hear that a lot. And I don't know about you guys. I always kind of wondered, like, how would OU's would they rise to that kind of level of SEC style, fans and atmosphere and, just the game day environments. And from these players, it sure sounds like it. I mean, because I'm, one of the kids I talked to, a kid from Georgia, he raved about it. And, Rogers himself, guys, I don't know coming into the weekend that anybody really thought that was going to happen the way it did. It surprised me. I think it surprised a few people. But again, I think he just kind of loved the setup. He loved, I know people will be upset about the game itself. He got to watch Isaiah Satania make some big plays. I'm sure it's easy for him to see himself in that role. So there's, I think, I don't know if I said it last week, but on the recruiting report, it reminded me a little of the infamous Bubba Moses game with Jermaine Gresham in attendance. And, they all of a sudden Bubba Moses starts catching a lot of passes. So, I think it's a big win for Oklahoma because he's not the guy that has the huge rating and everybody knows, but I've said it over and over again. Talking to people around Penn State, that was the one when OU offered him and schools started to come in for him. I think there was real fear, we might lose this guy that we kind of thought we were going to sneak in to State College. God, I can't spit it out.
Josh that's what she said. Is there any chance is he a type of guy that could come in and help next year? Barring in mind that they don't really play freshman wide receivers around here, I guess.
I think he could excel in punt coverage, Eddie. I think that could really be a great role for him. But no,
he have a tenacity to get penalties that would cost his team.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they could save him for like the biggest play of the game, just kind of moment on the line sort of thing.
I like that.
But no, he has that ability. Now, like you said, it's impossible to ignore the elephant in the room as far as would they put him on the field. But if you're just talking from a physical capability standpoint, yeah, like he's a guy that, everybody like, and I fall back to his speed all the time. But like you watch him through his highlights, and he's one of those rare seniors that has senior highlights up that you can go watch. Like he catches the ball incredibly well, like away from his body, over his shoulder. It's not like, oh, he's a speed guy that kind of fights the ball. Like he really is a pretty natural receiver. And then you throw in, what he could do in the return game. And by that, I certainly mean actually catching the ball and being a return man. But yeah, I think there's real potential there. It's just a matter of kind of does he find it? But when, you're going to lose Deion Burks, Keontez Lewis, I mean, there's snaps available there, and you'd like to think they give him a look. And with his kind of big playability, surely they could find something for him.
All right. Outside of that, I mean, you mentioned on Monday that you don't think that they could be done with 2006 wide receivers.
2026.
Did I just say 2006? Jesus Christ. I'm going to, I need,
You need a doctor.
like Andre Agassi. I think he had, that
It was called
thing.
methamphetamines.
No, I think he always had, a rubber band that he, pulled and, hit himself with.
That would be good for you. Just have a big bruise on your hand.
I need something.
It's just
I need
wild how
something.
consistent it is. You just subtract 20 years every time.
I live my life like I want to be in 2000 and aughts. The two aughts. Is that what they call them? God.
Oh God.
I mean, geez, I'm
that
so
sounded like
mad
my
right now.
grandfather,
I'm just
Terry.
so mad. I'm serious. Enough with this. God.
But
damn it.
yes, I will steal Kerry. I'll let him melt down in silence. No, with 2026, the guys, when we would talk about it on the recruiting report or on the pod, a month or two ago, it was kind of okay. The usual suspects, the names, that we knew OU was still involved with, or guys that maybe OU missed out on late. We kind of thought, well, okay, maybe they'll double back. You're hearing names pop up all over the place, guys. There's two in Houston this week that I know Oklahoma's kind of having a look at. One is a offensive lineman from very near me in Friendswood here in Houston, a kid named Noah Abibi that is played as a tight end for Friendswood last year and is 6'4", 275. Like he's a big physical guy. Kind of, obviously a storyline that's worked out well for Oklahoma through the years and converting these big athletes into offensive tackles. But I like him on tape. He's currently a Tulane commitment. I just posted Woke right before we got started with this segment, and he's had some conversations already with Oklahoma. They've gotten him on the phone, so I mean there's legitimate interest here, and it wouldn't shock me if by the time Eddie and Georgia and Knoxville that an offer has happened here. I think that's very possible. And then you add in maybe the most interesting news of the week is that Oklahoma has set up an official visit with Messiah Mickens, the running back that I kind of hinted at in the recruiting report on Monday, the Penn State commitment from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is a guy OU likes a lot. There is a lot of belief that he is not just it's kind of an opportunistic take and they're going to have needs at running back. Like this is a guy they really like and think could be a high quality player.
Did we talk about Jaden Petit?
Not yet.
Nope.
Is that how you say his last name? Pettit.
I think it's Pettit, but
Pettit.
You
that
could
Wisconsin
be right.
commit, Josh. I mean, it sounds like Oklahoma's still interested in him.
Yeah. A big guy, big outside guy that came in last weekend. Really, in talking to some people, and I know kind of some conversations with some of the Wisconsin mods and the guys running, covering it from that side of things. I think there's legitimate concern on their end. I think a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I think they thought he was pretty locked in. But with where Wisconsin's going offensively and the rumors, really starting to pick up on Luke Fickell, I think there's real concern there that he might flip. And I know I talked to Jaden some earlier this week, and I think I had alluded to this, maybe just flat out mentioned it, but I had I'd been told that his family went and picked up some merch while they were there. They went and got some OU gear while they were in Norman, that kind of stuff. I talked to Jaden about it, and it's a pretty believable story. Apparently his mother, his stepmother, is a huge Oklahoma softball fan, just a real diehard about it, and she wanted some OU softball gear, so they got some of that. And I think he probably picked up something as well, but kind of just a funny little side story in that whole saga. But
Patty does it
there
again.
We should get him get his mom one of those T-shirts.
Yeah, a little eat, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We could do that.
But yeah, he's I think he definitely liked the visit. When I talked to people coming out of that visit weekend, it was like, yeah, okay, Jahsiear Rogers is in. Jaden Pettit hadn't told anybody anything definitively. So I think there's still a bit of a waiting pattern there. But I do think if I was picking now, I would bet he flips, would be my bet.
Josh, what would you make of that wide receiver class that they've kind of, at one point it was like, who are they going to get in this class? And now all of a sudden it's like they could end up with 5 guys and flipping, 3 of them, and Braden Allen, Rogers, and maybe Pettit. I mean, what would you think of that wide receiver class?
I think it's a solid group. I think in Rogers you might have a chance at really having hit on somebody. I was talking to somebody over the weekend, and with Rogers, there was a D.D. Westbrook comparison that came up, like just the way he moves, his speed, like that. That's kind of what they see him as, or that's what at least this person sees him as. So obviously, All-American Blitnikoff winner OU will take another one of those. But the rest of the group, like I said, I'm not going to tell you, oh yeah, it's an unbelievable group. I think it's a solid group. I think with Jaden Pettit, there's a really interesting angle there with how big and physical he is. I think he brings something that OU, even with a guy like Jaden Gibson, who is as gifted as we saw Gibson was at times, he was so thin and lean, like you kind of wondered how he'd hold up with physicality. Jaden Pettit's a big dude. You're not going to muscle him. There's no corner he's going to face that can match his size. So I think he's a really interesting dude. And with Braden Allen, Daniel Odom, and Zizi Okafaleze, look at that. That was easy. I think you've got potential in all 3 of those guys. I'm not certain I know what will become of them, but I see traits in all 3 of them where I'm like, okay, maybe something could really happen there. Zizi in particular, I think, is really raw and has some upside, has some speed, but he's going to need some time. He's not a guy like, we're talking about Jahsiear Rogers coming in early and helping. He's not going to be that kind of guy, in my opinion. I think it's kind of like Danny Okoye. Like, as good as talented as I knew Danny Okoye was, he was going to need time. He was just coming from such a lower level of play. He wasn't going to be ready.
Josh, you want to talk 2027 guys? It just seems like somebody like a Crew Jones. I know that we talked about him on the YouTube show on Monday, but certainly somebody that has become rather familiar, I think, with anybody that follows the Oklahoma recruiting scene.
Yeah, the big defensive end from Utah, a guy that I've said it over and over again. I mean, Miguel Chavis, Brent Venables, like just talking to Crew, you're like, yeah, this is an OU guy all day, every day. He fits them to a T. And I think he senses that. He said things that kind of indicate like he gets it, like he knows, kind of he has the mindset they're looking for. And I think OU did a great job with him. He loved his visit. Came in with the Sparrow, Bodie Sparrow, I think is the – yeah, I was – for some reason I knew Bodie, but Sparrow was evading me. Big-time athlete. They came in together, know each other pretty well. And Sparrow is actually another kid from Utah that Brandon Hall's looking at safety, interestingly enough. Adam Gorney had a story about that this morning. And I like a lot where they are with Crew Jones. I think he is very high on OU. I think there's a good relationship there. Now, we're getting to that point in the year again where, okay, Oklahoma had it rolling for a while. They're 6-2. It's all good. There's nothing they really have to sell to recruits about where they're going or what they're doing. But I think with some of these guys, like if you want to keep that momentum going, or you want to stay where on the right track, you got to get some wins here down the stretch. You need to show 8-4, you're fine. Like okay, like that's progress. It's a hell of a schedule. Yada yada. You start falling below that, I wonder where momentum takes you in 27 if you can carry that into the offseason at the level that it feels like OU's at right now.
I got to know the story on Bodie Sparrow. Like, surely his parents are too young to be into Point Break.
Is anyone ever too young to be that into Point Break? I mean,
Bodie is like one of the best movie characters of all time.
That's the surfing movie, right?
Right, yeah.
I've seen that.
I bet your dad
George.
loves that movie. That's like right in his wheelhouse.
I doubt he has seen it.
Really?
Yeah, he's Point Break came out when? The 90s, right? This is Keanu Reeves, right?
Right, yeah.
Yep.
It came out...
I bet it was the 90s or late 80s.
Like 91, I would say, would be my guess. 90. Oh, nailed it. Dead on.
You
91.
cheated. You cheated.
I did. I looked it up now, but yeah.
1991 film, yeah.
My dad's like a 60s, 70s Western type.
Okay.
I don't think he was watching a lot of surfer movies,
He's a young professional in 91.
Even though it's surfing, but it's about...
it's FBI. It's about the FBI, undercover FBI. It's got...
criminal stuff, whatever.
It's got, what's his name? Crazy guy.
Gary Busey's greatest role.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing. Bodie Sparrow. Bodie, obviously the name of the primary bad guy in Point Break. And the most famous line from the movie, Utah Get Me Too. The kid's from Utah.
He's from Utah.
It's amazing.
Maybe it's not spelled the same. But I would love to know if that. By the way, my dad would always watch any Gary Busey movie just because he played Buddy Holly. My dad loves Buddy Holly.
My dad is also just not a big movie guy. Like I don't think he just doesn't watch a ton of movies.
It's disappointing. I really figured your dad like a big Blockbuster fan of like movies and stuff.
Oh, we used to go to Blockbuster and rent movies, but I just don't like. I grew up.
Well, I'm thinking movies, like Armageddon.
The movies he showed me growing up was like Seabiscuit, Back to the Future,
Great movie.
It's a good movie.
No.
Rudy. Like those are the movies that he's like, you gotta watch this.
See, we're not to divert too much, but we are getting into that age with Lainey where she's just about old enough to start watching cool ass movies. And I'm like, where do I start with her? Like, Back to the Future feels very
Back to the Future
a very
was a
good
great
starting point.
I'll never forget watching that with my dad, and I was like, this is a great movie.
Did your dad know that was full of lies, Rudy, is a movie?
Yeah, but so I do now too, and I still think it's a great movie. I love, I know it's bullshit, but I still love it.
Believe he's a criminal. Think he went to jail.
I think he
sucks.
Shit.
Like he legitimately sucks, but
Rudy Rudiger was not a good person. No. And that movie is full of lies. Just want to point it out.
I mean, aren't most of them like the guys in Seabiscuit? Like, I love that movie, but I know they're not the patron saints that movie paints them to be all the time. Like,
I remember my dad loved Seabiscuit. He loved that movie.
Yeah, I mean, people that had money in those times, they knew where some bodies were buried, like during the Great Depression and stuff. Like
you survived the Great Depression comfortably.
You took advantage of so many people to have wealth during the era of the Great Depression. Those are not good people. There's no doubt.
There's no way.
Okay. Sorry, little tangent there. But anything else recruiting wise that we wanted to hit on, Josh?
No, there's no. I mean, obviously, I just had put out Woke. We had some notes. There are a lot more 27 and 28 notes that are going to come out, through the week and then into Scoop on Friday, that kind of stuff. So there's plenty to talk about. There really is. It's just, the weekend obviously wasn't what OU was hoping it would be because of the shitty weather kept a lot of guys away. And then obviously the kickoff time was a problem, and then the game itself didn't go the way they wanted to. So, and that's the thing I get from so many of the guys, like, oh man, it was great, the atmosphere was great, the fans, blah blah blah, suck they didn't win. Like that's kind of how it ended, and that's that's tough to overcome that feeling like, oh yeah, hey, now we're gonna give you the whole recruiting spiel when the coaches are down, everybody's a little down about a loss.
Let me ask you this: talking about how it looked like Oklahoma wasn't going to have a lot of receivers in 2026, and then they start getting on all these guys. Obviously, when a coach gets fired and the players start looking around, those are kind of easy guys to evaluate and say, okay, if we have a chance, let's do it. How much do you think, especially on the high school kids, did this become not just like a coaching staff decision to go after this kid, but also the scouting staff? Like, is it something you think where like Jim Nagy and his people are bringing the people to Brent, like, okay, we would like to have some more receivers in this class. We like this guy. Or do you think it's just one of those things where it's almost like, I don't know, like they find out from you, I mean, that this guy's coming up and, he's having a good year and stuff like that?
Yeah, I definitely think most of this has been led by the front office staff. Like, now I know Braden Allen was a guy that Emmett Jones really liked early on. Like, so I don't want to say like, oh, it's just all one or all the other. But like Jahsiear Rogers, guys, to me, I think, and you just sit here and look at the scholarship chart that we have up on the site. You look toward next year, and let's say Isaiah Satania comes back. He's really the only guy that you would say, like, that dude has game-changing speed. Like, that guy can stretch the field. You lose Deion Burks, you don't have that other guy on opposite him. So I've got to think they looked at the room and said, okay, we need somebody else who can be a vertical threat, who can be a real danger. And then you look at some of the other things, you lose Keontez Lewis, you lose a big, kind of a physical receiver going to work the middle. I know, obviously, he's been a little in and out here as of late because of the injury, but what I saw of him, I really liked. So, I think there is a element of like, okay, what are we going to be missing? And there's part of me that wonders with all this size they're bringing in with ZZ, with, the potential of Jaden Pettit, and even Braden Allen and Daniel Odom are guys, 6'1" or so. Like, do they see some portal departures coming? Like, I mean, are they trying to kind of plan around that? Because this is getting to be that time of year where you start really taking stock of, okay, this guy, we think he'll be back, we think he won't be back. And some of that is born of, like I said, me talking to people about the running back situation where now they're in on Messiah Mickens. And I mean, I think it's clear they see several portal departures probably coming out of that running back room and opening up both playing time and just the need to have more bodies there to help you with your carries and practice through the season.
How many guys, like in the 2027 class, I'm just going to emphasize it, so I just stopped doing it. Did you see kind of coming out, like an offer kind of coming out of nowhere and then going and maybe looking at Huddle and being like, okay, I get it. Like, that maybe that would have come from like the scouting staff.
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. Like, you've seen more of that this year. And I think more than anything, like, Kerry, I see like offers going to places I don't normally see them going to. Mm-hmm. Like, again, the Messiah Mickens, like, guys, Oklahoma doesn't go to Pennsylvania. Well, I mean, if they do, it's like I think they had one in 2027 right now, and it's Max Hiller, who came to OU and camped and picked up and they offered and that kind of stuff. So I think more than anything, you're seeing a very national focus. And I know we say that all the time, and I think through the years, like from Bob to Lincoln to Brent, they've done a very good job of, okay, hey, there's this program's struggling a little bit. Maybe we could go into that state and steal a guy or two, or, from one of their recruiting strengths, we'll go to there and see if we can, take a player. I think you're seeing more and more of Oklahoma just saying, hey, this guy in Roanoke, Virginia is every bit as good as this kid from Texas. And, like Nagy has talked about in several interviews, the idea that, well, we are going to pay less for this guy than we are the 5-star from Duncanville that everybody knows about and everybody wants. We're going to take the savings and try to get the kid from Virginia. Like, we feel fine about that. So I think that is clearly part of the thinking here, where they are going into some areas that I don't see them go into all that often. And having some success, guys, right now in California. They are very present in California, and that's not really been the case under Brent Venables, with a few notable exceptions.
Well, and I think that's like you saw when Brent first came in, like he went out to Florida and he started getting, he was used to recruiting that area. Like coaches, it is interesting to me because they've always, recruited where they had relationships and they felt comfortable. And now with NIL, it's really just about, can we compete financially? It doesn't matter if we've been going to this high school for the last 20 years and if the coaches all know us and, that they're going to, like, it takes so many, I'm sure some of that still matters, but I also think it probably takes a little bit out of the equation when it comes to, like Jim Nagy's not sitting up there, Taylor Redd not sitting up there watching tape going, this kid's not at a high school that we historically recruited, so we probably should look at somebody else. Like, they're just like, good player, doesn't matter that we don't have a foothold in this, part of the country or that program or that part of the state of Texas. Like, let's see what he wants and let's try and get him in here.
Yeah, and Kerry, you and I talked to Nagy this summer at camp, and I certainly don't want that wasn't a on the record kind of thing, but I think there is a clear idea of if they see a player is of a certain level, they're going to offer him, and that they'll figure it out from there as far as, does this guy have legitimate interest? Do we have a chance to get this guy on campus, et cetera, et cetera? And they and the coaches will worry about that part. But I think as a front office staff, they want to be focused on identifying the best players that fit what they want, fit what their coaches need, and go forward from there. Not make it about, well, we're going to offer you if we feel good. So if they think there's 250 guys that are the caliber that can help Oklahoma win football games, they're going to offer 250 guys kind of wherever they are, being irrelevant.
Yeah. All right, I want to tell you guys about Lucy. 100% pure nicotine. It's always tobacco-free. Here's my advice to you with Lucy. If you've been a dipper and you want to try, maybe your husband's been a dipper. I know we had a couple in here last weekend, and I apologize to the wives always first for their husbands making them listen to the Unofficial 40, but they start to kind of get it, and they figure it out. But maybe you're listening out there with your husband and you're like, I want you to stop dipping and let's try some nicotine pouches. I highly recommend Lucy. It's done that. I'm not saying it's going to do that for you, but it's done that for me. You can set yourself up with a subscription. I promise you it's going to be less money out of your pocket in the long haul. You can have it delivered straight to your door. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/Soonerscoop and use promo code Soonerscoop. You'll get 20% off your first order. Lucy's got a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind, and it's just not for you. But again, that's lucy.co and use code Soonerscoop to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print, ladies and gentlemen. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Let's talk butt stuff. I can tell when George hasn't been using the bidet just by the smell around the offices. And there's nobody that better to tell us about it than the great George Stoya.
Yeah, Tushy's been great, super easy to install, and has kept me clean. I know Kerry lives that bidet life, so he can relate, but it's awesome. We're waiting to get the one installed here in the office so that Eddie doesn't stink anymore.
All you got to do is go to HelloTushy.com. Use the promo code SoonerScoop. HelloTushy.com. Use the promo code SoonerScoop to get 10% off your first bidet order when you use the code SoonerScoop at checkout. Thank you.
Yes, we do have a user that's his username is Carrie's Bidet. That's how long we've been living the bidet life over here. But no, they are really easy to install.
Super easy.
Yeah. Okay. Josh, I know you're about to run out of time, but let's talk about Tennessee. I know you've probably started a little bit on your under the hood research, but Aguilar, I'm not saying that he's the running threat that Nico was, but arm talent wise, there's not a whole lot of guys. I wouldn't, from the games I watched, Josh, I think I maybe thought he had maybe like super elite arm strength. He's good. I'm not trying to say he's bad, but he's throwing for a lot of yards. He's got a great deep ball, but maybe not a guy that you're just like, okay, he could be a first-round draft pick.
No, yeah, I think that's a fair way to say it. He's He's a talented guy. He is what Josh Heupel and those guys have done with him in year one is pretty freaking impressive. He had struggled at App State. I mean, like I know people that were kind of surprised when UCLA went and grabbed him, much less, oh, he ends up at Tennessee kind of thing. But I think they've done a great job with him. Really throws a nice vertical ball. And, Georgia's talking about the studs they have at receiver. That's like, he just like, I'm going to let those guys go make a play for me. Brazel's a big-time guy. Just torched Alabama at times in that game. But, I'm sorry, I said Alabama. Georgia. He really got – that was earlier in the year. But, no, I liked what I saw of them a lot. Again, he's not special. What's interesting, I think it's really almost I wonder if Tennessee's saving it for the right moment, though they didn't really do it against Georgia and Alabama, so I don't know when that moment would be. But Aguilar is a good runner. He just doesn't do it very much. Like, it surprises me how little they use it. But he's absolutely a capable scrambler. But it will not be like last week with Trinidad Chambliss where they're going to put some stuff in and call his number.
Yeah, I just don't think a lot of people can do that with as good as he is. I mean, just unbelievable.
Just unbelievably crafty. Like that's the best word I could come up with for Chambliss. Like, just there's no real reason for him to be as good as he is, but the dude, just when they needed it, he found a way to make a play every time.
He just threw some dots. Like, he had some passes that you're like, oh, that's different.
And that's the thing. It's like, no matter how good your defense is, I mean, if your quarterback is hitting, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Sack him.
Yeah. Well, they could do
better
that.
Defense. Not.
But I'm just saying, sometimes guys had really good coverage. I mean, and he just
there's one
dropped it in the bucket.
Peyton Bowen had great coverage, and he just delivered the most perfect pass you could have thrown. And it was like, well, there's not a whole lot OU could have done there.
Josh, we'll let you take off and finish up here, but appreciate it, and we'll be looking forward to all your stuff on the website, including the scoop coming up on Friday.
Yes, sir. All right, guys.
All right, that is Josh McCuistion. Okay, let's talk. Injury report's going to come out tonight. Obviously, Derek Simmons, somebody you're looking for, although the way Ryan Foje played, I don't know that is as dire maybe as
but it would be.
Been at one time.
You'd still want Derek Simmons to be available. It would be a very interesting situation if Derek Simmons is available. I guess they would play him over Foje, but I'm also at the point where it's like, well,
Foje very much talked like he was the guy this week.
Yeah,
when we talked to him on Monday night, I actually I guess in a way this is unfair to Derek Simmons. I just don't really plan on seeing him the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I also am of the opinion too. At this point, I would just play your freshmen. Let these guys get as good as they can this year. And the way Foje played, he certainly had some low moments, but I mean, for your first start,
yeah,
he was pretty good.
We probably didn't talk about this enough after the game, and even throughout this week.
He practiced it 2 days.
2 days. 2 days they went up to him and said, hey, man, this is like, I guess, Wednesday or Thursday.
Wednesday. It was Wednesday.
We need you to play right tackle this week. He ended up starting against Ole Miss, and he played pretty damn well. I think that they definitely found their future at right tackle, and I would just kind of expect him to be the starter moving forward from now on.
Yeah, and like you said, who knows what the future holds for Derek Simmons, especially knowing that he's had concussion issues.
It helps Foje, too, that he's playing next to a guy like Fabechi.
Yeah, I do think talked about that on Monday night as well.
Help, so
a lot of communication, and that's going to be super important this weekend when you go play in a hostile environment like Neyland Stadium. I mean, it was a great atmosphere in 2015. I think it's going to be just as good this year.
The other guy that's top of my mind tonight, I think people will be watching for, is Gentry Williams. I mean, with receivers that Tennessee has, I think every possible corner that has some experience could be helpful.
Yeah, I honestly have no insight on if he'll be able to play. I still think it'll probably be after the bye week that he gets back out there. I mean, he didn't even suit up this past week.
He was out there. He was out there with the players during pregame warm-ups and on the sideline. But So
But he was
wasn't,
never. Yeah, but he was never like in uniform.
No, he was wearing sweats and his jersey.
I mean, I think the two names that I'm looking for tonight is what's Kobe McKenzie's situation, obviously with the groin injury, and then Keontae Lewis, because maybe it's ironic, maybe it's a coincidence. This offense hasn't been the same since he hasn't been on the field.
They could use him right now. I agree with you, Eddie. They could really use him, and I honestly have no idea what his availability might look like. I mean, he rushed back and shouldn't have played against Texas.
No doubt.
Has he played through his red shirt? He has, hasn't he?
Lewis?
Yeah.
I mean, this is like his 6th year of college football. So yeah, this is it for him.
Well, I was going to say he might not have a red shirt.
No, he doesn't, because he played 5 games.
Okay.
He's played 6 games because he played in the Kent State game.
Right.
He just got hurt on like the first play.
First series, yeah. Yeah, I mean it's more about than the injury report right now.
Outside of that, I don't think that there's any like surprises. No. I mean, relatively over the last 2 weeks, they've been pretty healthy. Outside of Kobe leaving in the second series against Old Miss, obviously with the groin injury that Brent talked about on Monday night on his coach's show. I know that I wasn't there on Monday boarding for radio, but he talked about it on Monday boarding, just kind of battling through it. So yeah, I don't think that there's like a litany of guys that we don't already expect to be on there outside of the Jake Taylor, Jacob Sexton, Troy Everett clan.
Just knocking on some wood there. No, so I mean, look, I don't think it's about who's healthy, who's not this week. It's more about John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle, the
Is
OU
he
offense.
Mentally healthy?
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, what did you guys take from talking to him this week in terms of, because I mean, look, he's come out there every week. He's answered the questions. He's taken the responsibility for not being better. He did it again on Monday, but at some point you're just like, okay, you can say all this all you want, but at some point you have to show that you're starting to get it as a quarterback and not continually look like you're regressing.
Yeah, I mean it's at the point now. It's kind of it's obviously up to him and how he plays, but you just got to play better. And I think that's the most frustrating thing. And we talked about this on Tuesday on the William and Lauren practice report. I think the most frustrating part is we've seen it. Like, he can do it. I just don't know what has happened since this injury, since he had the surgery, that, from a mental standpoint and just missing guys and not seeing the field, that dropped off. I don't know what that is.
I'll tell you this. This morning on our radio, Spinozzi made a really good point. Everybody has kind of been dissecting John Mateer and, been upset and be like, should even be the quarterback next year. And, some vitriol, not a lot, but Spinozzi was like, you know what? This is what they did in Cleveland to Baker. He tried to play through injury. He didn't play very well. And everybody went after him. Like, are we not giving John Mateer enough, I don't know, grace is the right word, but enough of a break, knowing that he's probably still not 100%?
It's a good question, because I do think that we are probably being too hard on him. But at the same time, we've seen him.
I don't think it's the thumb that's not making him see the field.
I agree.
I don't think
his accuracy is not good.
But I do think it's a mental part of it.
He started the game 10 for 11. Like, this conversation about accuracy stuff, I don't know. But
he's not accurate. But those 10 of 11, Eddie, the majority of those were not passes down the field. One of them was on the first possession. But I think a big reason why he started 10 of 11 is a lot of that was scripted.
Yeah.
A lot of that was scripted plays. And that's, to me, is where things kind of fall apart, and why you've seen in the second half of games now, the last 3 weeks, he hasn't seen the field, is because it's not scripted. It's off script, and there's guys open. And I think a large part of it is, is he just not seeing those guys, or is he not trusting himself to throw those passes? I honestly don't know the answer. I mean, he told us the other night that it's, he's just got to make better decisions and, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't think anybody really knows the truth except for John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle. And now it's up to Arbuckle to, I don't know, simplify it if you can. I don't even know if you can simplify it, but he's missing stuff, guys, like on the first possession of the game, that it's I can't remember if it was first or second down, but they're down there, inside the 20, and they run a little bubble to Satania, And if he throws a good ball, and it's just an easy throw, he throws a good ball, Satania might score. Instead, he throws it at his feet.
There's
and
been
he
a
has
lot
to
of
dive
that
for
this
it.
year,
Yeah, and it's like that's the kind of stuff to me. Like, yeah, he missed some guys running, down the middle of the field wide open, but he's also missing on stuff that's like you can't miss on the bubble screens. Like that's the easy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's
and he's capable of making that throw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's banged up in his lower body to some extent. And that's a crazy thing too. But like, I remember when Brent Venables, one of his first coaching shows, got on the board and showed, the defense and the offense, showed the all-22. And I remember saying to myself, like, oh God, OU finally has one of these quarterbacks again, like where he reads the field and he sees where the opening is going to come from before the receivers even come out of his break.
Yeah. He's not doing that stuff right now.
Like, where did that go? Like, it's
I think it's mental.
Gotten so messed up, whether it's mental or physical or a little combination of the both, where he doesn't have confidence to make those.
Like, I think he can throw the ball like as well as he did before. Maybe a little less accurate. I don't know, or a little less power. I'm not sure, but I think it's more in his head. Like, I think he's thinking, he's like, I know that guy's gonna be there, but do I trust myself to make that throw? Like I think he's questioning himself, and I don't, what's the answer for that? I think he's got to go play well and it builds some confidence. But this is a tough week to do that on the road in a place like this.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts.
But you look at Tennessee. I know they've forced 14 turnovers. I think they've scored like 5 defensive, touchdowns this year. They're not good defensively. Like if there's a defense to go up against that you should be able to build some confidence, you would think it would be this one.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. New players, new games, new rules. Squid Game, The Challenge returns for a gripping second season. 456 contestants from all walks of life, competing in the ultimate test of strategy, alliances, and endurance. For a life-changing prize of $4.56 million. With stakes this high, why make friends when you can make millions? Watch Squid Game, The Challenge Season 2, only on Netflix November 4th.
Yeah, I mean, they've given up over 30 points in every SEC contest.
31, yeah. I do think that, like, isn't this the type of game, though? And I mentioned this on the board, I think, on Sunday with this, I guess as tough of an atmosphere as they'll play in, with all the hand signs and stuff that they can use with Jahsiear, you would think that they could at least be able to stomach that a little bit, maybe easier than throwing somebody else out there that wouldn't know how to respond to the adversity.
Well, I mean, it's very elementary to say, but having a run game and not having a run game has certainly been a part of, I think, the position that they're in now.
But they've run the ball the best in the 2 games that he sucked.
Well, not against Texas.
Weeks. Well, yeah.
And he didn't suck
just
against
outside
South
of the
Carolina.
last two weeks.
But, like, they do need to lean on the run game, I think, moving forward, because that's the biggest thing that can help. And that's the thing for Arbuckle. Yes, he blew it on the 4th and 2, and he blew it on the safety call. But the thing where I think he really blew the game was late when they're not giving the ball to Xavier Robinson. That you found something there. Like, keep giving him the ball. So I think that they'll correct that, and you don't want to overcorrect it though, and you only run the ball and you don't trust John to throw it at all. I still think you're going to have some sort of passing game. But
do you kind of feel like Ben Arbuckle himself is a little shell shocked by what's going on with Jahsiear?
I don't know if shell shocked. I think that he's probably surprised in some regard that he's missing some of this stuff. I would love to be a fly on the wall in that film room. Like when they, on like Sunday, I'm sure they're watching the game back. Yeah. And I bet Ben's just like, what the hell? What is this? The guy's wide open.
And I don't want to go into like I went on enough rants in the Eskridge Lexus post-game podcast, probably none of them accurate or fair, but post-game loss tends to happen. But it's almost like, okay, you keep hearing people talk about footwork and fundamentals and this stuff and eyes, but like we saw Michael Hawkins go out and play, and like he was throwing more sidearm than we ever saw him throw a year ago. You see Jahsiear, and he's talking about his footwork, and Ben Arbuckle's talking about his footwork. Like when we know all this stuff about Kuzieski and how much of a help he is, and he's basically got a personal quarterback coach. And the beginning of the year, like, see, that's what they needed. That's what Seth Luttrell didn't have. But like all these problems seem to be fundamental problems that like.
I think that's the first thing that breaks down when you don't trust yourself, though. When you don't trust the offensive line in front of you, when you don't trust what
that's
you're
a big part
doing,
of it,
that's
Eddie.
the first thing that breaks down is your footwork and your fundamentals.
I think he's panicking when he sees any sign of pressure, even if it's not real pressure. Like, I think he's all of a sudden, like, he's going through his progression, and then he sees one guy maybe get beat or one guy's about to get beat, and he panics. And then that's when he misses the guy running wide open.
Am I so dead inside from watching that offensive line last year? Because it was awful to watch, and it was clear that, Jackson Arnold he was mush mentally because of getting sacked time and time again. Like, I haven't seen that poor of an offensive line this year. Like, so how did Mateer get to that point? Like, where
I think it's the injury. I think he's thinking,
I think he's trying to protect himself almost too much because he's thinking about the injury and wanting to get re-hurt.
And I think I think the Texas game, like, here's another theory. I think the Texas game and the amount of throws that he had that should have been intercepted and the ones that were intercepted, now it's like he's playing too conservative. Because when's the last time now in South Carolina? I think he threw he had one
that
pass,
should have been picked.
but he didn't have guys. The Ole Miss game, he was inaccurate. He missed guys open. How many balls did he throw that should have been intercepted? I don't think there was any in harm's way. And it
was because they were so bad that they weren't even in the field to play.
But But you see what I'm saying?
He's throwing to the sidelines.
That's what makes Mateer great, though.
He's throwing to be safe.
Yeah, like he needs to get back to like the Michigan game where he almost threw a couple interceptions, but he also threw some absolute bombs and some dimes. Like that's what makes him great.
I mean, you can tell, especially on some of those out routes and stuff. Like he's trying to put a ball where the DB can't make a play on it and pick it.
Yeah,
like and it's so out in front that even the receiver can't get it. So. I think some of that
and he's
is
not
going
thrown
on.
over the middle of the field, which is where a lot of was it 2 or 3 of his interceptions came against Texas? All 3 maybe over the middle of the field.
Yeah, because he was late to Satania.
Right, and so I think that now he's I think he's thinking too much. I think he's I can't turn the ball over, and it's kind of what happened last year where they started turning the ball over and. It was if we just don't turn the ball over, we have a chance. And it's you still need to be aggressive, though.
Well, and I mentioned it earlier, and I know Brent was even asked about it this week at his press conference, but just the weight of being the quarterback at Oklahoma. And I think everything, John Mateer comes in here, he was at Washington State last year. You heard all this hype about him. He himself heard the hype when he got in the portal, and he was the best player in the portal and all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, few games in the season, he's a Heisman front runner, and it's his life exploded.
Yeah,
and I just wonder, because we've talked about it, with Dylan. I mean, Dylan wasn't awful his first year, but he was certainly
look
more
how much
comfortable
better he
and
got
better his second year.
Yeah, look how much better he got in his second year. You don't think so, Eddie?
I just think it's kind of an excuse. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss was playing D2 ball. He's handling everything pretty well.
Trinidad Chambliss is the ultimate rare example, though.
Well, but let's see what happens to Trinidad Chambliss when he's plus 100 in Vegas as the Heisman favorite.
Well, I think
I don't know. I mean, I think
he's really good.
He also, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being negative. He also stepped into a program that's gone 6-7 2 of the last 3 years. And I'm just saying, from a quarterback position, there shouldn't be a whole lot of pressure in that regard.
There should not?
No. Anything's better than what we've seen over the last couple of years.
There shouldn't be pressure, though, at the quarterback position at Oklahoma?
Not right now, I don't think.
There's a whole row of statues.
Maybe if he was...
What are you talking about?
And a lot of them you watched play on television.
Yeah, if he was replacing somebody like a Baker or a Kyler or something
I
like
get what
that.
you're saying. I get what you're saying, but
he's not.
But he was. But Eddie,
and he's done it.
But he was crowned. He was crowned at the savior. He was going to be the guy.
I still think Mateer can be really good.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I think Mateer can be really good still. I'm not out by any means. He's just got to get his shit together.
Right, but you're saying it's making excuses. Yeah, we're trying to figure out why he's sucking. We're trying to come up with excuses.
Yeah,
Eddie says just rub dirt on it.
Yeah, kind of a little bit.
Coach.
Get back in there, make some good plays.
I think we all agree on that. Nobody's disagreeing on that. We're just saying that the reason why he's struggling is probably X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't think he's playing well. Like at the end of the day, maybe
do.
there isn't a whole lot. All right, you guys do it.
Jesus, Eddie. All right.
I mean, does that not make sense?
No, it does.
It makes sense, but
I think
it's just
you're saying
Making
it's
a bunch of
okay
excuses for this guy.
It's okay.
now you sound like somebody in my mentions.
It's okay to have a discussion and debate things. It doesn't have to be that stupid.
He needs to be
I
better.
don't
We
agree with it.
all agree on that. We're just trying to figure out why has he not been better?
I think we've discussed it enough. At least
Yeah.
we could probably move on. But I mean, it is all on the offense. And look, this defense is really good. And people were asking me about it this morning. Like, do you think this defense is good enough to go and win against Tennessee? It's not about that. It's about they need some support from the offense.
Yeah.
They can. I don't care what defense you have, unless you're like the '85 Bears or something. Like every defense in the NCAA needs some type of help.
It would be nice if they could create a turnover.
And look, they're getting more help than they got a year ago, but they're a better defense than they were a year ago. It's just, are they good enough on their own to go win at a place like Tennessee or to beat a top 10 team like Ole Miss? Nobody really is. The offense has just got to give them a little bit more help. And that, I mean, time of possession was a horrible stat out of their favor. Like that, to me, looking at time of possession last week is the one thing where you're like, okay, that's why this hurts the defense.
And when they get help, like a lead, you can't give up 11-play, 75-yard drives.
That's true, too.
Like how many times over
We
the last
talked
couple
about
of years
that,
has
yeah.
Oklahoma offense, as bad as it's been, given them some momentum, and they just shit down their leg? Like I know that the defense has been exceptionally great. It's been turned around. But they have been put into some spots that they've failed.
Well, and you can't, sack a guy being fourth and 14 and then have been offsides.
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of goes back to everything that we talked about in the postgame show, though. Like
The details.
And legitimately, to think that that's just going to completely change overnight, I don't know. I just don't think that that's going to be the case. You're going to have to try to win games with some of this, extracurricular stuff built into the game, unfortunately.
What do you mean by extracurricular? Like
just penalties, fuck ups on special teams.
Yeah.
Fumbling, everything that we've talked about. Like, I just don't think that that's all of a sudden going to stop. It's kind of who they are. That's what they've done for 3.5 years.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's on Brent Venables because he's the head coach. And if they go to Tennessee and they're toe-to-toe and they've made a lot more mistakes than Tennessee, that falls on the head coach. I mean, he's built a pretty good defense. He's built, through the transfer portal. He's got some good offensive linemen, better than they had a year ago. You wish you had maybe a star running back. You tried to get one in the portal. It didn't work with Jade Knott. Like, the pieces are there. At some point, you have to have a disciplined team that can go in and win a close game in a road environment against a team that you feel like, as Brent said last week, feels like he has as talented a team as anybody that he plays. I might stop saying that after losses, though.
They got to go win. Or at least be competitive. But you got to win. I mean, and I think they can win. I don't know. I'm not picking them. But I think it'll be another close game. And it'll come down to, like Eddie said, can you avoid making some of those dumb mistakes? And Oklahoma hasn't been able to do that a lot of times. So I don't have a ton of faith. But, maybe Tennessee will make more mistakes. But
Wouldn't we agree, though, that if you're going to win on the road, this is the game the rest of the way?
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to beat Alabama.
Yeah, you're not beating Alabama on the road. I don't think.
I wouldn't think so.
And especially you're not if you lose this game. I don't think you're winning that game.
Yeah.
Like, if you win this game, then maybe you could be like, well, the momentum.
And my God, can you imagine coming back after Alabama being 6-4 with 2 games left? I mean,
it would not. It would be a situation where you're like, Brent is definitely coaching for his job in the last 2 games.
And that may not be enough.
Yeah. And it depends on how those losses go. Like, if they go and get blown out this week or they get blown out in Tuscaloosa, then I think you're legitimately having a conversation. But right now, I don't think we're there yet. Like, I know everybody wants to get to that conversation.
I'd be very, very surprised if they just go out and get their ass kicked Saturday.
Didn't you? You said you said on the pod on Saturday though that you were like you thought they were going to get blown out.
That they just couldn't win.
I still don't.
I don't remember him saying that they're going to get blown out. Maybe he did.
I said there was a greater chance that they would get blown out than go win.
Okay. That's a different thing. You did. I mean, yeah. I think we all agree it'll be tough for them to win this game.
Yes, but they can.
And if they do,
they have to buck a trend.
It changes the narrative around this program.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And Brent Venables' ability to
now, if they win,
team on the
even
field.
if they win this game, they got to take care of business at home. Like they can't come back and like screw around with a Missouri team that's probably going to be starting a true freshman quarterback or an LSU team that just fired their head coach and their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
you know,
it would be the most significant win that Brent Venables has had as a head coach. I mean, no doubt about it. Which, I know that the opportunities are limited over the last 3 years, but it just has not gone well in these spots.
And here's the thing. Like, this is, I believe, his best team.
Yes.
And I think it would be, if it played the same schedule that his second team did, he probably would have been in the playoff.
Yeah, and I said that, like, if this team was playing in the Big 12 this year, I think they go like 11-1. The floor is probably 10-2. They probably lose some inexplicable loss, but you're probably playing for a Big 12 championship with this schedule.
And that leads to
a Big 12 schedule.
I mean, I think that's what would happen, but I don't know. I don't.
Well, I'm just talking
I don't have
talent.
too
I'm
much.
just talking talent. I'm saying, Lincoln Riley left. He had to rebuild the roster. He had some good talent, Danny Stutzman, a Billy Bowman. They got Dylan in here. They still had what were the running backs then? His first couple of years.
Well, Eric Gray, year one,
Gray, yeah.
and then it was Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk.
Okay.
In 23, and Tawi Walker, the great.
So I would
Walker.
say they're better at running back than they were then, with Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson.
I don't know. Those guys were a lot more productive.
Javonte Barnes and Tawi Walker?
Eric Gray?
Well, no, Eric Gray.
Well, Eric Gray's the best out of that group.
But it's debatable at best. I mean, it's about the same.
They haven't been able to run the football until the last 2 weeks. I think it's a little bit, I don't know. I think there was better talent on that team. That freshman
there
version?
was on offense, I think there was more talent.
Yeah.
Or similar talent.
We thought Mateer would be a better quarterback.
Defensively, though, it's undoubtedly his most talented defense that he's had.
It might be one of the more talented defenses they've had, like
not just Brent
the last
Venables,
25 years.
Yeah. Even going back to Bob Stoops' era. I mean,
this is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan. Real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Certainly the late 2000s, early mid 2010s. So, no, the point I'm trying to make is, you do get in this debate, and Brent should be debated. Like, he is building a more talented program. So to go in a different direction doesn't guarantee that the program will remain that talented.
They got to figure it out on offense. That's the bottom line. In the Brent Venables era, the offense just has not been good enough in a lot of ways. And that's even, I've said this a million times, I feel like, but even the Jeff Lebby days, when they statistically had a really good offense, they seemed to really F things up in critical moments. Or time management was a big problem. I mean, hell, that hasn't been fixed down at Mississippi State either. You saw how they blew that game against Texas. But the last 2 years especially, it's clear they don't have enough talent on offense, and it's just not – guys aren't being developed. There's too many discipline errors. That's where like ultimately if Brent Venables fails at Oklahoma, it was because he was blind to the offensive issues that they've had the last 4 years.
No.
In my opinion.
No, I agree.
100%.
All right. Well, you guys will be taking off on Friday.
I am excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to go out there and see the atmosphere. I know the dark mode, whatever, blackout they're doing is cool, but I'd much prefer it be like the OG, like orange jerseys with the checkered board stands and stuff. That would be cool. But it'll be a great atmosphere.
Think you're kind of underestimating because it's going to I think the crowd's super pumped up.
But how long have they done the blackout thing?
Last couple of years, I can remember.
See, but that to me, it's like they made up a new thing to do. It's kind of like when.
Okay, well then take that out. I mean, it's a massive game for both teams.
I know, Eddie. I'm just saying. Like, I just wish it was orange. I like that color matchup. That's all. I still think it'll be an awesome atmosphere. I'm excited for it.
It was a cool game in 2015. I mean, and obviously OU won, so a little bit different, but and then you had the Butch Jones stuff going after Eric Stryker after it was over for yelling at their recruits to come to Oklahoma.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Forgot about that.
Butch Jones still at Arkansas State, right?
He is. They're not good this year, I don't think.
Outside of all of that, any thoughts on A&M or?
Really good.
I've thought that A&M was vastly underrated all year in terms of being a true
They just
contender.
got a bunch of dudes, man. Their roster is extremely talented. Like, their defensive line is really good. I didn't realize they now lead the country in sacks. Like, they are dominant up front on defense, and then on offense, they got a quarterback who I think is really good, maybe not great, but he's got so many guys around him to throw the ball to. Like,
I think he's one of those guys that like you can't account for a lot of stuff. And I just think he's a winner.
Yeah,
just seems like he's a winner. He can was there any doubt? I guess maybe there was some, but like after he led them down to go take the lead and win the game against Notre Dame, it's like the amount of confidence that you can take out of something like that is tremendous, and it just feels like he's one of those guys that every person on that team has belief in, that he's going to make the play when you need it.
And that's what you felt about Mateer early in the year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I still think that we I think not overlooked it, but like he led a game-winning drive against Auburn.
Yeah.
That was a game-winning drive. They were down with 7
Michigan,
minutes left.
really. Michigan. He
closed it out against Michigan. Like, what got lost in that 17 days that he went out to Los Angeles? Did he get abducted? Is he a Scientologist now? Like, is that something that we have to worry about?
Sounds like an excuse.
It would be. But if somebody takes your soul, George, you don't know about how you act.
Have you guys seen the stuff about Colin Klein being the leading candidate for the OSU job?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I don't know, though. I have no idea.
I kind of think that'd be a good hire.
I've heard Colin Klein, I think he's going to get a better job.
Than OSU?
Yeah, he's
like what?
He's been a hot name. I want to say somebody's got plans for him that doesn't have an opening yet.
I mean, what school doesn't have an opening that is going to have an opening?
I just don't see who would be giving him a better opportunity than OSU.
It'd be a great opportunity. Kansas State? Is Kansas State going to come open?
It could, even though they're playing better football.
They are.
But like, unless you're talking about like an SEC job,
maybe Arkansas. I don't know which way they're going to go. LSU, Florida,
but
Penn State.
I think OSU's probably a better job than Arkansas right now.
Yeah, but we've talked about
what
that.
What about is UCLA a better job than OSU? I don't
think Colin Klein seems I don't know.
No, he doesn't seem like a USC.
Here's the thing. I think, and Brent, you asked Brent about this week at his press conference about just the climate of everything. I don't know if I want to go to a school that clearly is run by the donors.
Isn't that every school though now?
What school is
Well, I mean, they most are, but like what I'm saying is in reference to like Lane Kiffin, like he kind of runs the donors. Like, I mean, not really, but they are completely, like the donors at Ole Miss, they're kind of like, we were talking to Neil, or maybe, I don't know if you guys were here, I was talking to Neil McCready. He came over by the office, but Like, they are terrified of losing Lane Kiffin because they feel like with their history, they could go back to being irrelevant.
But like, I get that. I also think that if Lane Kiffin turned around and went 6-6 next year, people would be in an uproar down in Oxford.
Sure. I mean, that's with anywhere. But,
exactly, but that's what I'm saying is like the donors can wake up one day and just be like, you're done. You know?
But I think all the donors have to do is simply say, Lane, here's a truck of money and here's a truck of NIL money. And he'd be happy. I mean, and that would be better than maybe going to like a LSU where the donors are in charge.
I don't know. I think LSU's a great job.
It is.
It is. You
every
just better
coach,
win.
Every coach has won a national championship that's been there since
3 of the last 4.
That was a trivia question we had this morning. What was the name?
Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron.
Before Saban. Jerry DiNardo. That was the last coach that didn't win a national championship.
Well, Brian Kelly. But
right.
3 of the last 4. Right?
Well, it spans back to, 2003. Which, in my mind, was just yesterday, apparently. No, but I don't know. I mean,
I am very curious, though, some of these jobs. And how does that play into, like, if Oklahoma has to make a tough decision? Like, do they look at this? And because I think Auburn's still going to come open. Florida State's going to be open.
I want to say maybe it was Florida State. That
Wisconsin, I think, is going to be open, maybe. If they want to pay the money. They should pay the money.
It is amazing how everybody comes up with the money.
Everybody's got. That's the thing about this. But everybody's got the money to fire the coach. The thing that you have to consider is, do you have the money to fire the coach and then give the next coach the resources to compete immediately?
Right.
Because I don't think there's many programs. Like, I think even LSU and Florida are going to struggle. Whoever they hire are going to struggle next year to compete at least at a SEC championship type of level. I think they can, like, if they hire Lane Kiffin, they can go and win, 6, 7, 8 games, but they're not going to be national title contenders in year 1. I don't think. Because I don't know how they're going to turn around, especially LSU. I don't know how they're going to get out of this buyout, this $53 million, and then they're going to turn around and hire whoever for $100 million, a 10-year, $100 million deal, whatever it is. And then they're going to have to buy a $30 million roster? Where's this money coming from?
I think there's a lot of schools, too, kind of in that same vein, George, that are currently firing coaches because they've seen the immediate success that
like
a Signetti has.
Yeah.
Or even a Mike Elko to that extent, even though this money situation, nobody's going to compare, or there's going to be a very few limited schools that can compare to A&M that are going to have a little bit of buyer's remorse and thinking that whoever they go hire is going to just be able to come in and step in from day one and have success. I don't think that that's going to happen at a lot of these schools.
And that's what the question Oklahoma has to answer if they have to have a difficult conversation is, do you think that the money, like, do you have a better chance of competing next year by, bringing Brent back, maybe making a couple staff changes, whatever, but investing in this roster, retaining the defense, keeping Mateer, all that stuff? Or do you feel like you have a better chance of blowing this thing up and rebuilding it from the ground up? And I personally don't think we know the answer yet. Because if this thing goes off the rails these last 4 games, then it answers it for you.
I do think OU is in a better position than a lot of places because of Jim Nagy and their front office. That I
agree, but even Jim Nagy in the front office, if they blow this thing up, what resources exactly? I mean, we know, guys, that they needed more money in the spring portal.
I'm not talking about the resources. I'm talking about retaining people, like to where it just doesn't all fall apart. And it's
but how are they going to? My point is I think that it's going to be extremely difficult to retain people if you're spending a shitload of money elsewhere to try and go get a great head coach, in which you're going to be competing against some schools that have more money than you for head coaches, and then also you're having to pay the players that you're trying to retain that are probably going to want to leave if Brent Venables is fired.
I can't imagine what it's like being somebody like Tim Headington, who's like helped funded all this, like a lot of it. And he's sitting there having to say, like, I know I'm the one that's going to have to pay for this. Like,
yeah,
if we blow it up.
And that's why I ultimately don't think they're going to, unless, again, they have no other choice.
I mean, what LSU did is just like what everybody's doing. I mean, Penn State.
I think the LSU thing is like on its own level, though, because I think that those people hated it. Like we talked about this a little bit on Saturday night. Those people hated him. He hated them.
Yeah.
And it just never really worked out.
It wasn't a good fit.
Like, I think the one that like really like looking back on it now is Penn State thought that they beat everybody to the punch. And now they're like, I don't know, fourth in line or third in line.
Well, and that's what, like, you look at all these firings that have happened. And I outlined this in a story I wrote earlier this week. But like Mike Gundy, but the reason he was fired, he just never adapted to the new world.
Yeah. Right. And I think it was a little bit of insubordination after the way that they played.
James Franklin, he was fired because he could never get over the hump. He could never win the big one. Still a good head coach, couldn't get over the hump. Brian Kelly, I think he was ultimately fired, not because he just didn't win, but because he was never a cultural fit. And at LSU, the most important thing I think for a head coach is you have to be a culture fit there in a lot of ways.
And they had the exclamation point of like whatever that third quarter was, that it was so embarrassing that you have the governor of the state tweeting about it.
If Brent Venables is fired, I think the reason will be he's a great coach. He's a great guy. He's just maybe not a head coach. He could never figure it out as a head coach.
No. And possibly priorities were put too much in one position instead of another.
Yeah, and I think we've seen Brent show things that make you believe he can be it, right? That, we use the example all the time, but the Texas game, 2 years ago, like that was a great example of, hey, he can do this. Or, there's been other examples, or, I thought he made a great hire this last offseason in Ben Arbuckle and going and getting Kevin Wilson to be on staff. And I thought it was a good evaluation of John Mateer. But then he's also had a large amount of examples of, hey, maybe he can't do this. And that's why I think we're going to have a lot better answer at the end of these 4 games. Like, because if he can do this, guys, I think you go maybe win this game on Saturday.
Like, if he can just be a head coach in general.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it has been surprising to me just from a Las Vegas standpoint to see which way those numbers have fallen this week with Oklahoma. And I know that we talked about it on Saturday night, but like that number's all the way down to 3 now. It opened at 4.5. There is some belief that, and I think that I'm a little bit blinded to, the flaws of Tennessee just as much as probably anybody that just watches OU on Saturdays, that maybe there is a little bit of a gateway that you can get in. I just don't have any faith right now that they can go out and play that clean game or win the turnover battle 3-1 or something like that.
And they're going to have...
and not only win the turnover battle, but take advantage of those turnovers with touchdowns, not field goals.
Right. And that's the thing is, if they're going to win this game, they're going to need to win the turnover battle.
Or be clean in special teams. Have no penalties that all of a sudden take you from, possibly getting the ball at the 50-yard line to giving the ball back. Or, backing you up against the goal line in a hostile environment. And then all of a sudden you have 2 false starts and you're having to snap or punt from your own end zone, and it completely flips the field. It's just those little things that we've continually talked about, and I think that we lost our mind about, or I lost my mind about on Saturday night, that it's just frustrating. Like, there is a lot of things that you go, they're getting in their own way a little bit. But then again, at the same time, I just, they obviously weren't the better team on Saturday.
It comes down to what we said last year when it came down to, fighting for this or making an excuse for that. Like, just win. Winning cures everything.
Yeah.
Like,
how about this this tweet that just popped up? Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry just said at a press conference that LSU Athletic Director Scott Woodard will not be hiring LSU's next football coach. It will be LSU's Board of Supervisors. And this goes back to what I've said.
That kind of seemed like the underlying story on Sunday was Scott Woodward's also getting fired at some point.
I don't know if he's getting fired, but I think it points to the other part of this, that ADs, they don't have the power anymore. They are not the ones making these decisions.
Well, particularly somebody like Scott Woodward, too, that has now paid out $129 million of buyouts to Jimbo Fisher.
But like the people that think that Joe Castiglione is going to be making the decision on Brent Venables' future, you're kidding yourself. He's not making that decision.
Yeah.
And if they were to go out and hire a new coach, he's not making that decision either. And not just because he's retiring.
I think it'll be a collective effort, whether it be Randall Stevenson,
it'll be a committee,
and his committee.
Yeah.
That's
I think it'll be
kind of in
largely
charge of the
Jim
AD
Nagy.
stuff, or Jim Nagy. Yeah,
I think Jim Nagy will be definitely involved in that decision.
And I think he'll consult with the
Rosenberg.
I can't even remember the athlete group.
Jake Rosenberg. Yeah.
I mean, I hope that never comes to pass, and talking about going 10-2.
And I'm still on the side of I wouldn't fire Brent Venables.
Let's just wait until these 2 road games are passed.
Yeah.
To see what it looks like.
I think this game is. I mean, I hate that we have to say this every single time, but it's the biggest game of his career. It is. Every
Until
game from here on
he
out.
stacks some of these wins, it's going to be that way. Yeah.
And even if he did, like if they had beaten Ole Miss, this would again be it'd be like, well, can they do it on the road?
Yeah, it's just everything that we saw on Saturday. It's just like kind of almost revalidating the belief that I think a lot of people don't want to have.
Yeah.
And Hugh Freeze isn't even fired yet, so.
Which is crazy.
They're
although Jackson Arnold, I think his starting career is over. Maybe Auburn.
At Auburn, yes.
Kind of seems like it.
I think he'll end up somewhere next year, starting somewhere.
He might be that guy that sets the new standard for number of schools started at.
Is there anybody, and I don't know like Jalil's numbers off the top of my head at Maryland this year, is there anybody that transferred out this past year in this past class
that's just having a great year?
That's just like tearing it up. I mean,
Brendan Thompson.
Brendan
Thompson's probably having the best year out of everybody, right?
Yeah.
Nick Anderson certainly not doing anything at LSU. Bauer Sharp
Jalil
still continues to not.
I don't think
best
Farouk
fit
has done
to
much.
Farouk has 31 receptions, 277 yards, and 1 touchdown for Maryland.
I wonder how Jaquez Petaway is
with
doing.
what he's getting paid. It's probably not a good return on investment with Farouk.
Maryland's not terrible.
But we heard how much he's getting paid in it. Oh, Jaquez Petaway, 10 receptions, 27 yards, no touchdowns.
Nothing.
For who? Who's he? Where is
Jaquez
he?
East Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Trying to think of anybody else. I mean, I guess what's his name?
Andrew Anthony.
What's his name having a decent year up at Nebraska? Deshaun McCulloch.
He starts for them, and he's probably one of their best defenders. Andrew Anthony, 17 receptions, 172 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Has he been hurt? Because I feel like he had
maybe
well over 100 after that. Oh, what they had a big game at.
He's not been hurt. He's not
nothing.
Been hurt.
Just nothing.
Yeah, he just has not been very productive. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns against Illinois.
Yeah, I remember watching that. That was like one of the first weeks. It might have been the day of the Michigan game.
Yeah, he had over 50 yards receiving in the first 2 games, and since then he's not hit over 30.
My God, he had
Duke football has not just torn things.
You know
up
who's
this year.
he's tearing it up.
Anthony though had 27 catches the half year he played at Oklahoma though.
They went to him on
He
every
was their
third
guy.
down.
He
It
was the
seemed
guy.
like.
You know who's just tearing it up though?
Who?
And he wasn't on the team last year, but Tawi Walker.
Yeah,
that dude was a stud.
And Cincinnati's a good football team.
He's got 90 carries, 466 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
I think
he's averaging 5 yards a carry.
The Sorsby kid's really good. The quarterback. I mean, Cincinnati could win the Big 12.
Yeah, they could.
I don't think that they will because I still think that's going to end up being Tech when it's all said and done. But I don't know. Houston,
I do think
Willie
Carter
Fritz has done an incredible job at Houston too.
Lewis Carter, I think at UCF might be their leading tackler. That's one that, and OU didn't want to lose him. They liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Latrell McCutcheon still at Houston?
Yeah, he is. He's on a 7-1 football team.
How about Kenai Walker getting the pick 6 on Jackson Arnold?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Kenai plays for maybe one of the worst defenses in the country at Arkansas.
I mean, and Jackson threw it right to him.
That was pretty bad. We've seen somebody like Aguilar. He's throwing a pick. We were watching that on the way back down in
that's what I'm saying,
Tuscaloosa.
Man. You can turn this team over. You know, how many points? Let me ask you this: how many points does OU need to score to win this game? 33. 33. I think that's
crazy?
Probably about right. I think it's over 30.
It is. Yeah. I mean, that wouldn't be a strange thing for Tennessee to give up 30 though.
It'd be a strange thing for Oklahoma to score over 30 though. Haven't done that against a Power 4 team. Haven't done it in the SEC yet. Something has to break.
Is this like I feel like today has been like our therapy from our therapy session Saturday night.
It's just another day in the life, it feels like, around these parts
much
nowadays.
More chill version.
I just feel like we've been saying the same stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's gotten to the point where it's like, I just want them to go do something that we haven't seen yet.
I was definitely I was just angry on Saturday night about the way that thing went down. It's
honestly,
embarrassing.
We just want something good to happen so we can show our faces on the Crimson Corner more often.
I'm there.
I mean, it would be nice to do a instant reaction after a win. I think a lot of people would enjoy that.
my God,
Sights
that
and sounds in Knoxville would be awesome.
Oh my God,
it'd be good. It would be good. Good business.
It always just, we've always said this too. Just good vibes into a bye week hits so much better than having to sit on a loss for 13 days or whatever it would be.
I mean, the conversations we'll be having during the bye week if they lose.
Might have to start working on like hot boards and stuff. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. They haven't even lost yet, but I'm seeing a lot more national Brent Venables hot seat stuff returning.
Well, I bet it's obvious though, isn't it?
Well, I just mean he kind of got put off that. I mean, he did still 6-2.
He did. Well, yeah, but I think just it's not so much, and I think we said this on Saturday night. It's not so much about the loss. Just like if you would have gone out and got beat by Ole Miss and you lose a heartbreaker, it's 31-30, and you gave it your all. It's just the little things that we've talked about over the last 3.5 years seem to be the reasons they consistently get beat or underperform every weekend. And it is what it is. Like, that's a trend. We're not making that up.
I think the only thing that's hard for me to just like come to terms with is I felt like I stuck my neck out there to say like this was a historically terrible offense last year. And, to give Brent a chance to fix the mistake that he made, but let him fix it. And it's not like it's been an abomination, but it hasn't led to them becoming. And I don't know what I'm talking. It's not like we came in the season and say, "Oh, they're going to be a national championship."
And it's what's really hard about it, guys. Like you're right, Eddie. They make too many critical mistakes. If the quarterback just plays better in their two losses,
we're not even having this conversation. We're talking about him in New York City right now,
and that's why it's hard to be like it's all Brent's fault. And at the end of the day, the head coach he is to blame, right? For why teams lose. But like if the quarterback just plays a little bit better in these two losses, like we're not talking about any of this.
Yeah, no, and that's a fact. But it is the reality, and I think that like that's kind of something, George, that like. It would be easy to overlook if they had gone 10-1, 10-1, 11-2 or whatever, or even 9-3. God bless. It's the 6-7 over 2 of the last 3 years, combined with now the way that they lost the 2 games, the fact that you also haven't been able to beat Texas outside of a miraculous comeback. It's just like it all adds up at the end, and at some point somebody has to, kind of, I guess, fall on the sword, if you will.
And and like you're right. It's just so tough because like we've nitpicked R. Mason Thomas jumping off sides, and it's like that's the hard part. It's like, man, that can't happen. But like, how many teams like it's crazy to be like the defense has to be so perfect that one bad play cost them.
And not to mention
it's crazy.
Yeah.
They have to be They have to play
really
perfect.
Good teams can overcome all that. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're on a really good team. You can have 11, illegal motion penalties in a game, and you'll just overcome it.
Listen, I think we said it when we were watching. God damn, I can't remember what game it was on Saturday. Mississippi State game on Saturday night, and my dad said it to me when I was talking to him on the way home on Saturday night as well. It's like we always say this about teams that usually do things like that lose. What do we say? Bad teams find ways to lose.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of the truth. As unpopular and as much as we don't want to say it.
All right. I think we said enough. I think it's time to play some football. We'll have plenty more words if they don't win Saturday. Go ahead, Eddie.
Not football related.
Okay.
OU basketball.
Yeah.
Went over to Media Day yesterday. I'm genuinely excited to see what this group can be. I don't know if it's a Final Four team. I don't think so. I don't think it's like an Elite Eight team, but this is a team that I think with the pieces that they have and the guys that they have brought in through the portal, the 4 top 100 guys, Xavier Brown from St. Joe's, Nigel Pack, Darion Reed from Alabama, and then who else am I missing? I was just messing with all these guys yesterday.
Did you say Xavier Brown?
Xavier Brown. I'll think of it in a second.
Notre Dame transfer?
Oh, yeah. Tay Davis. Thank you. They have a really good core, and they brought some guys back. Obviously, Mo Wiggy and the way that he played at the end of the year last year was a shock to everybody. Porter told a kind of a funny story with him getting into all the foul trouble last year, and it was just simply like he felt like he had to do too much, or else Sam Godwin would come in. Yeah, that's the point. Like he's one of the top offensive rebounders in the country to return to his school. They have some good pieces. Kai Rogers, 5-star,
he looks
big man.
Awesome.
I think from a physical standpoint, I put this on the board in the sights and sounds that we did. I think he's the best looking big guy that they've had in at least a decade in Norman.
I'm going to tell you, Eddie, if they go out and light the world on fire like the first 10, 12 games, I'm not going to like it.
If they do that, though, with their non-conference schedule, the non-conference at home is not any good.
Yeah.
But if they do go and they can beat like a Gonzaga to open up the season, basically, I
don't like that. I don't want that to happen.
Well, that's
all this team has done is just got out to this great start the last few years.
So you want them to lose a bunch of games?
I just want to change it up a little. I want to be good at the end of the season, not at the beginning.
Let me watch the college basketball. You can jump in on the bandwagon in February.
I can't wait for you to be disappointed.
Like me?
I'm just kidding.
You fans, these people fucking hate you. I stand with you.
I actually think they're going to be good. I was telling Eddie, I think that this is when's the last time that they had a men's team and women's team this good?
From a shooting standpoint, they do it looks like have some guys that I know can go score the basketball. We've seen it. Nigel Pack is going to have. I told George yesterday, this will be my last prediction or my big prediction for the year. I think Nigel Pack could end up, let's say, top 5
in the draft.
No. In single season percentage 3-point shooting at Oklahoma. I think he's that good of a shooter. And the numbers would back it up. Like analytically, I think OU is one of 4 teams that added 4 guys or more that shot, I can't remember the percentage. I'd have to look it up. But they needless to say, they added some really good shooters on this team, and it's going to be fun. I'm excited about OU basketball.
I'm going to change what I said, not because I feel pressure from Eddie. But there's no, I don't believe there's any kind of preseason classic for them to win, right?
No, they're not playing in any of the
no Atlantis or anything like it.
Because they're playing in so many.
That's the problem. Is they would always go and win one of those stupid ass preseason tournaments, and then everybody would get all fired up.
Well, they did like once or twice, I guess. Twice in 5 years.
They won Atlantis, and then they won something else. Battle of Atlantis, and
they went out to what's it called? Not Dominican, not Jamaica, Bahamas. I think it was the Bahamas, like the motor Pep Boy basketball tournament thing.
Go back here and look.
That was the one last year. That's the one that they won last year when they were in the Bahamas, because we watched that in Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay.
Before the big party. Shout out Sadlers. They have a lot of really good, like the Marquette. That's an awesome matchup on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock in Chicago. Gonzaga is going to be fun. Nebraska up at the Sanford Pentagon.
Better.
Yeah, they were really disappointing last year. What's his name needs to have a good year this year up there? Former Iowa State coach. Can't think of his name.
The mayor, Fred Hoiberg.
Fred Hoiberg, yeah.
There. See, I taught you something about basketball.
No, I knew his name. I just couldn't think of it.
Well, I could think of it.
That was impressive, Carey.
Win for me. By the way, I was going to the Big Eight. I was going to the Big Eight tournament before you were born. All right. Just pipe down. I've been to Kemper Arena.
We know that you're older. You don't have to point that out.
All right, that's going to do it. We got to get out of here. Appreciate everybody listening. These guys headed to Knoxville. See what happens. It's obviously you guys are going to be interested. We're interested. Jahsiear is interested. I'm sure everybody in his family is interested to see how this thing works out. Hopefully,
OU 42, Tennessee 3.
There you go. Well, all right. George, you want to give a pick before we get out of here?
No.
That's not realistic whatsoever?
I don't.
All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.